You clicked for the cash in the walls. This is that raid. At 6:12 a.m., 43 FBI agents and 2 SWAT teams step into a snowy Minneapolis street, breach the New Horizon relief offices, and freeze at a hollow thud behind freshly painted drywall. When that panel comes off, mold hits first, then stacks of bundled bills. By the end of the first location, they count over $18 million hidden in walls, ceilings, fake outlet boxes. Stay with me. We're going inside the second site, a suburban house wired like a counting room, where vacuum sealers hum and destination boxes read Nairobi, Mogadishu, Doha, Istanbul. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. If the drywall could talk, why did it echo back at federal agents in a charity's HQ? The answer started at a quiet, snowy 6:12 a.m. entry. 43 FBI agents with ICE support and a SWAT element moved past frost-glazed glass into New Horizon Relief's Minneapolis office after weeks of low-key surveillance and a sealed warrant. No sirens, no shouting, just a controlled push down a hallway lined with framed photos of food drives and refugee intake days. A receptionist desk sat dark. The executive suite door clicked open, and the first odd note hit, a metallic hollowness under the paint, like a drum with a fresh skin pulled too tight. Fresh paint lines stopped mid-corner where they should have blended. A new baseboard ran a hair higher than the rest, its finish too clean for winter traffic. Behind a bookshelf, a flat knock changed tone, dense to empty in a palm's width. The nonprofit's public face said grants, meal boxes, and counseling. The room said weekend renovations and rushed cover. Agents scanned without hurry. One traced a caulk seam that wandered like a shaky hand. Another tested a grounded outlet. No power, no wiring. Just a faceplate screwed into silence. The air carried bleach and damp paper, a sour mix that clung to winter coats. A faint bleach halo marked an outlet cutout, like someone wiped away fingerprints more than once. Under the desk, a faint dust ring showed where a tower PC should sit, but there was only a cable clipped short. On a side wall, the texture coat bloomed uneven, a sign of patch jobs layered fast over damp studs. None of it matched a charity office that handles grants and records with routine traffic and open storage. Wall caches are an old move in bulk cash smuggling and trade-based laundering. They reduce handling risk, skip the banks, and keep records thin. In charity fraud reviews, auditors flag sudden capital upgrades, off-cycle contractor bills, and material purchases that don't tie to programs. Paint, drywall, and carpentry work that appear without a maintenance plan create a paper blur. Invoices that don't match vendor histories and tools bought outside usual suppliers. Ring alarms long before a raid. A pry bar kissed the edge. The first panel flexed, then cracked with a suck of stale air. Mold drifted out like old cellar breath. Behind the gypsum, cash sat bricks stacked in banker's rhythm. Rubber bands had slumped into tar strips. Denomination straps still carried courier colors, the kind banks used to speed vault counts. Some bundles wore grease ghosts where hands had pressed them through heat. A second cavity opened, then a third, each packed tight, double wrapped in contractor plastic and taped corner to corner. Chain of custody started on the dot. Evidence bags laid out by number. UV wands swept for threads and security watermarks. Preliminary counts logged, then relogged aloud. Gloves changed. Photos locked time and orientation. A scribe called out denominations and strap identifiers while a second verified. A third recorded defects, mold contact, and moisture level on the wrap. The room took on a bank's cadence, clipped and steady. They moved office to office. False outlets repeated like a template. Hollow beams in a meeting room thunked the same way. Behind one frame mission statement, a narrow runner led into the ceiling void, with small parcels lined like loaves on a rack. The tally climbed from 7 figures to 8, floor by floor, until the initial shock settled into a pattern that only pointed one way. At Site 1 alone, the count cleared $18 million. Not petty cash, not a short-term hold, a long-running concealment plan that made no sense for any normal nonprofit. The paint, the baseboards, the fake PowerPoints. Each part fed a storage map built for cash, not clients. But the walls were only the doorway, A second address turns the trickle into a system. Why would a suburban living room hum like a bank back office on a Tuesday? The hum wasn't a mystery to the agents watching the meter spikes at 2 a.m. The address tied back to North Star Logistics, LLC, a shell that looked real on paper until you pushed on it. The ownership chain thinned out in 2 hops. The registered agent bounced between virtual suites. Mail drops led to nowhere in particular. Still, the lights burned late, and utilities surged when most blocks went quiet. That was enough to land this tidy house on the warrant stack. They walked into a room that didn't match any grant report. Rows of money counters sat like small engines, chutes stained from steady use. Steel tables held vacuum sealers with spare gaskets, and heat strips laid out like spares for a pit crew. Cardboard boxes along the wall wore city names that didn't track to any public program. No case files, no client forms. Just logistics handwriting and block letters meant to be read in a hurry. The tone felt off from the first step, like a living room repurposed by someone who didn't plan to host guests. Here's where the layout did the talking. The carpet didn't meet the baseboard. A cut line ran straight to a conduit sleeve, then dove under a fixed shelf. Wiring fed a hatch with underfloor safe access. A whiteboard next to the doorway listed dates, initials, and numbers that always ended in triple zeros. The kind of neat round sums you see when counts get batched by rule. Next to it hung a wall clock no one bothered to set. Time here ran on cycles, not hours. Professional cash hubs live on rolls. 1 pair feeds, 1 pair counts, 1 seals, 1 stages, 1 moves. That compartmented rhythm keeps the flow clean and limits who knows the whole route. Advisory notes on laundering map that footprint a lot. Count, seal, stage, ship. The room fit that script without needing a guide. Plastic tubs labeled incoming and clean waited under the tables. A sad little break corner had energy drinks and wipes, not coffee mugs. If this was charity overflow, it learned the wrong lessons. In the kitchen, a drawer didn't sit flush. Below it, a kick plate snapped out to reveal a concealed safe. Inside, agents pulled handwritten ledgers, where columns met with tidy math. Transfer slips with bank stamps sat next to USB drives marked with short date codes. Some invoices named a warehouse address that software flagged as a vacant lot, a bad tell when you expect pallets and loading docks. A folder labeled returns wasn't about donors. It tracked batches that failed a seal test and needed a do-over. The paper trail shaded the numbers in a way the walls at the first site couldn't. Forensic reviews showed less than a third of inflows making it to any service line. The gap matched classic charity diversion moves. Ghost vendors, fake shipments, and made-up deliveries that look fine on a spreadsheet until you verify the street. Withdrawals hit currency exchanges, then hopped through third country accounts where records go thin and names flip.